Sharam Rudiniram Param Hridaya Kuharamatke Kevalam Brahmamatram Yaham Iti Sakshat Atmarupena Bhati Hridivisha Manasa Swam Chilvata Machyata Anachalanalodha Atmanishto Deham Brahmaya Jadatmakam Aham Buddharnatasyastyatho Naham Tattathabhavashuddhi Samaye Siddhatma Sadbhava Oham Bhavayuta Kuto Radhiya Drishtatmanishtatmana Soham Spurtitaya Arunachala Shiva Soham Spurtitaya Arunachala Shiva Purno Vibhati Swayam. Namo Ramana. In this, the Thursday Satsang from Ramanacentre Center for Learning, it has been our practice to select two verses randomly from the work Guruvachaka Kovai, which is in the form of verses rendered by Muruganar Swamigal. The verses are selected randomly by Revatima. Each verse is read and the verse reading is followed by a short meditation on its meaning. That is followed by the practice of self-enquiry for about 15 minutes. After these two segments of verse reading, meditating on its meaning, and the practice of Atma Vicharam are completed, there will be summing up remarks by Venkatesh Deshpandeji. That will be followed by the offering of Sri Ramanacentre. The chanting will be by Vaibhavji and Pratnama online. The rest of us will be inquiring as to who is the listener, paying attention to the listener within. That will bring the satsang to a conclusion with the ending of the Ashtotram. We begin by taking up the first verse selected for us, verse number 480. 480, we find in the segment Investigation into Truth. This work is divided into investigation into truth and meditation on the truth, and finally Anubhava or experience of the truth. This verse 480 we find in the investigation into truth. It is under the subsegment offering oneself or Atma Samarpanam. Offering oneself or Atma Samarpanam, verse 480. It is said, offer the ego self to God, the Atma Swarupa. It is said, offer the ego self to God, the Atma Swarupa. But other than to God, to whom else did it belong in the first place? Feeling sorry and ashamed for the sinful and blameworthy act of cunningly stealing from God, it is the duty of an honest man in whom this knowledge has arisen to return it to his lotus feet and seek his forgiveness. There is a statement by Muruganar, those who say that the ego self should be surrendered to God have not known the subtlety of surrender. Only if the ego had any independence would self-surrender, Atma Samarpana, become a spiritual sadhana. The jiva is forever God's possession. It has therefore been said that one's duty is to remain merged with God without subsequently rising aside, while feeling penitent for the theft which was behaving as if one was an independent entity. Let me read the verse again. It is said, offer the ego self to God, the Atma Swarupa. But other than to God, to whom else did it belong in the first place? Feeling sorry and ashamed for the sinful and blameworthy act of cunningly stealing from God, it is the duty of an honest man in whom this knowledge has arisen to return it to God's feet and seek his forgiveness. So the act of Atma Samarpanam is given a new twist, that it is only a returning of that which belonged to God already. How will you do that? That when you have somebody else's thing in your home, when you are giving it back, you won't feel that you are offering it to him. To offer, we should have that as ours, and then we can offer. Whereas when it already belongs to that person, we are only, and suppose we have had a feeling that by mistakenly it has joined with our vessels in our home, we have been using it. Suddenly we realize that it belonged to the neighbor who had brought some sweets with it, and the vessel has remained with us. Then we are not offering the vessel to him. With due penitence, feeling sorry for not returning the vessel, we offer it back, or we give it back to him what duly belonged to him all the time, even though we had some false sense of ownership and used it. Everything in creation is like that. Everything in creation belongs to God. Therefore, definitely our ego too belongs to God. And Muruganar puts it very nicely that to remain merged in him, because we belong to him. We don't have any separate existence. To find out who we are and to remain merged in that God's Atma Swarupam, or the Atma Swarupam that is God, without subsequently raising as I, while feeling penitent for the theft which was behaving as if one was an independent entity. All this time, if we have behaved as if we are an independent entity, to feel sorry about that and return what duly belongs to the Atma Swarupa, And that is best done in the practice of Atma Vicharam. That when thought arises, we should know it belongs to the Atma Swarupa. So we should not claim possession of this new vessel in addition to the existing vessel. And we should let it go so that it will go back to Atma Swarupam. We should ask, for whom is this thought? Then it will come, this thought is for me. Then we can realize that we ourselves belong to God, and the process of returning the property to God is by the quest, who am I? We are not offering our ego. It is something that already belongs to Atma Swarupam. So we learn to live a life of complete merger in the Atma Swarupam without trying to come out and claim a separate entityship and get into all this suffering which is bound to come out of that root error. Let's sit in practice of Atma Vicharan, which is the root penitence for having stolen something that belongs to God, but carrying out the redressal by merging in Him with the enquiry, who am I? Let's practice self-enquiry for the next 15 minutes or so. Devakima, you can request you to set the time. Thank you. Namo. We continue by taking the second verse selected for us, which is in the segment Experience of the Truth 1111. Sthita Prajna, the one who is established in the state of true knowledge. Sthita Prajna, the one who is established in the state of true knowledge. 1111. Only the one who exists as the space of consciousness, ever remaining with the same perspective, which shines without the distinction of self-word view and world view, the two perspectives that occur within time, is a Sthita Prajna who is unassailably established in Jnana. There is a quote from Maharishi's Gospel. To him who is one with that reality, there is neither the mind nor its three states, and therefore neither introversion nor extroversion. There is a note from Muruganar. Here the distinction between the Mukta, the liberated one who is a Sthita Prajna, and the Sadhaka who desires Laya Samadhi, temporary absorption in the self, has been explained in a subtle way. He who experiences bliss in the self-word view, in Manolaya, a temporary suspension of the mind, and misery when the mind operates externally, is only a sadhaka. But the mukta who abides as the space of consciousness rejoices in only experiencing the one reality, the pure consciousness, everywhere and in everything, without the distinction between self-word view and outward view or worldward view. He has neither bondage nor the knowledge that he is a mukta. The verse again, only the one who exists as the space of consciousness, ever remaining with the same perspective that shines without distinction of self-word view and worldward view. The two perspectives that occur within time is a Sthita Prajna who is unassailably established in Jnana. So in the previous verse, we saw the ego being merged with the self-word view in the Atmaswarupa. What happens in that merger in the feet of God or in the Atmaswarupa is that the ego dissolves. The thing is that as the ego dissolves, the world also dissolves. That both the seer and the seen dissolve completely into the pure consciousness. There is no seer, there is no seen. There is no ego nor the world perceived. Both are merged completely in the pure consciousness. Only pure consciousness is there without the seer and the seen. In the pure consciousness, does the pure consciousness need a guru to turn inward, have the self-word view? In the self-word view only, the ego will be offered back to whom it belongs, will remain merged at his feet. Does it need that instruction? Having completely dissolved the ego, which happens only when the objective world is also completely dissolved. Neither the seer nor the seen remain even in a wisp. There only the pure consciousness is there, without the self-word view or world-word view. That is Sthita Prajna. There is no Sthita Prajna. There is only the Prajna Sthiti, where there is the consciousness sans division as knower and known, seer and seen. Let's sit in Atmachara for the next 15 minutes or so. We'll trouble Revati again for our time. Namo Ramana. Namo Ramana. May I request Venkatesh Deshpandeji to give us the summing up remarks. Namo Ramana, sir.
Namo Ramana. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Jnanamulam Gurur Murti, Pujamulam Gurur Padam, Mantramulam Gurur Vakyam, Mokshamulam Gurur Kripaha, Mokshamulam Gurur Kripaha. Ramana, have you ever pondered why do we go to Tiruvannamalai? You know, we go to Tiruvannamalai so often, and here was Bhagavan who was born with nothing in his hands. He left with nothing. Born like each one of us. We are born with nothing, and we leave with nothing. But Bhagavan, during his lifetime, knew that he was everything. And we, as ordinary devotees, as samsaris, are holding on to various things. See, Bhagavan, when you go to ashram, you'll find his kamandalo, you will find a lot of his things which he was using. But he was never attached to that. If anybody brought him something expensive, somebody bought him a silver walking stick, he said, I don't want it. He blessed it and gave it back to the devotee. Say, you can keep it. Why? Because he did not want to hold on to anything, because he knew that when you're born with nothing. When you die, you take nothing. Everything is that of God's. Nothing belongs to you. It's for the human race, it's like a relay race. You know, from one generation to another generation to another generation, we hand over whatever we think we have. We think that is ours. But it's never ours. We are just a sort of a caretaker. But in Bhagavan's lifetime, he realized that he was everything. We go to Ramanacentre to tap into that aspect of Bhagavan, where he knew that he was everything. There was no inside, there was no outside, everything was him. And Bhagavan says in Upadeshasaram, Ashtamurti Brad Deva Pujanam. We are made of atoms and of these 5 elements. And these are all unmanifest. And like a potter, what a potter does is he takes clay and makes a pot. So Bhagavan, out of these 5 elements, he has made each one of us. And through our lives, he keeps tapping to make us look different. And we think that we are this body. And then we hold on to a lot of things, and we think all those are mine. So the basic lesson Bhagavan is trying to tell us is that this aspect of Sthita Prajna, where inside and outside is all one, there is this aspect that he knew that everything, Ishavasim Idam Sarvam, everything was pervaded by God. There was not an inch in this whole universe which is not pervaded by God. That if you come to that position where you get to know everything pervaded by God, then what happens? You go into silence. Then there's no more ichhas, there are no more desires that I want this, I want that. This is not like people offer mukata to Tirupati. That mukata, all the components of the mukata is already Tirupati's. But a samsaric man will say, I'm offering a 5 crore mukata to Tirupati. So the God must be laughing. Look at this man. He's offering my things back to me and saying he's offering this to me. So the whole process is really to let go. We, at any moment in our lives, we know we exist. We are conscious of our existence. That I amness is there every moment in our life. But we don't pay any attention to that. So as we start doing self-enquiry and being attentive to that I amness, that I, what will happen? Then you will not hold on to everything, and you will realize that everything is only that I, and that everything is only you. There's nothing apart from you, the consciousness. Then you will become fearless and free. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. Namo Ramana.
Namo Ramana, sir. Thank you so much. May I request Vaibhavji and Pratnama to do the chanting of Ashtotram for us. Namo Ramana. Namo Ramana, Pratnama.
नमो रमण भारद्वाज विश्वनाथ विरचितं श्रीरमणाष्टोत्तर शतनामावलिः अपार सच्चित् सुखवारिराशे यस्योर्मिमात्रं भुवनं समस्तं गुहाहितं तं रमणं गभीरं चिन्ताविहीनं हृदि चिन्तयामि ॐ महासे नमः ॐ शेन जाताय नमः ॐ श्रीरमणाय नमः ॐ गुरवे नमः ॐ अखण्ड संविदाकाराय नमः ॐ महौजसे नमः ॐ कारणोद्भवाय नमः ॐ जगद्धितावताराय नमः ॐ श्रीभूमिनाथस्थलोस्थिताय नमः ॐ पराशरकुलोत्तंसाय नमः ॐ सुन्दरार्यतपःफलाय नमः ॐ कमनीय सुचारित्राय नमः ॐ सहायाम्बा सहायवते नमः ॐ शोणाचलमहोलीन मानसाय नमः ॐ स्वर्णहस्तकाय नमः ॐ श्रीमद्द्वादशान्तमहास्थले लब्धविद्योदयाय नमः ॐ महाशक्तिनिपातेन प्रबुद्धाय नमः ॐ परमार्थविदे नमः ॐ तीव्राय नमः ॐ पितृपदान्वेषिणे नमः ॐ इन्दुमौलिना पितृमते नमः ॐ पितुरादेशतः शोणशैलं प्राप्ताय नमः ॐ तपोमयाय नमः ॐ उदासीनाय नमः ॐ महायोगिने नमः ॐ महोत्साहाय नमः ॐ कुशाग्रदिये नमः शान्तसङ्कल्पसंरम्भाय नमः ॐ सुसन्दर्शे नमः ॐ सवित्रे नमः ॐ स्थिराय नमः ॐ तपक्षपितसर्वाङ्गाय नमः ॐ पुल्लाम्बुजविलोचनाय नमः ॐ चन्द्रिकासितहासश्रीमण्डितानन्दमण्डलाय नमः चूतवाट्यां समासीनाय नमः ॐ चूर्णिताखिलविभ्रमाय नमः ॐ वेदवेदान्ततत्त्वज्ञाय नमः ॐ चिन्मुद्रिणे नमः ॐ त्रिगुणातिगाय नमः ॐ विरूपाक्षगुहावासाय नमः ॐ विराजतचलाकृतये नमः ॐ उद्दीप्तनयनाय नमः ॐ पूर्णाय नमः ॐ रचितातुलताण्डवाय नमः ॐ गम्भीराय नमः ॐ परमाचार्याय नमः ॐ सुप्रसन्नाय नमः ॐ अभयप्रदाय नमः ॐ दक्षिणास्यनिभाय नमः ॐ धीराय नमः ॐ दक्षिणाभिमुखाय नमः ॐ स्वराजे नमः ॐ महर्षये नमः ॐ भगवते नमः ॐ ईड्याय नमः ॐ भौमविद्याविशारदाय नमः ॐ विमलाय नमः ॐ दीर्घदर्शिने नमः ॐ आप्ताय नमः ॐ ऋजुमार्गप्रदर्शकाय नमः ॐ समदृशे नमः ॐ सत्यदृशे नमः सत्याय नमः ॐ प्रशान्ताय नमः ॐ अमितविक्रमाय नमः ॐ सुकुमाराय नमः सदानंदाय नमः। ओम मृदुभाषिणे नमः। ओम दयाळवाय नमः। ओम श्री षोडशाचल स्कंदाश्रमनिकेतनाय नमः। ओम सद्दर्शनोपदेष्ट्रे नमः। ओम सद्भक्तवृंद परिवृताय नमः। गणेशमुनिभृङ्गेन सेविताङ्घ्रिसरोरुहाय नमः। ओम गीतोपदेशसारादिग्रन्थसञ्चिन्न संशयाय नमः। ओम वर्णाश्रममतातीताय नमः। ओम रसज्ञाय नमः। ओम सौम्याय नमः। ओम आत्मवते नमः। ओम सर्वावनिमतस्थानाम् आराध्याय नमः। ओम सर्वसद्गुणिने नमः। ओम आत्मा रामाय नमः। ओम महाभागाय नमः। ओम मातृमुक्तिविधायकाय नमः। ओम विनताय नमः। ओम विनुताय नमः। ओम विप्राय नमः। ओम मुनीन्द्राय नमः। ओम पावकोज्ज्वलाय नमः। ओम दर्शनार्थसंहारिणे नमः। ओम मौनेन स्वात्मबोधकाय नमः। ओम शान्तिकरसाविद्याय नमः। ओम स्मरणाबन्धमोचकाय नमः। अस्तिविचण्डांशवे नमः। ओम संसाराणवतारकाय नमः। ओम षोडादृशस्तुतिद्रष्टे नमः। ओम हार्दविद्याप्रकाशकाय नमः। ओम अविच्युतनिजप्रज्ञाय नमः। ओम नैसर्गिकमहातपसे नमः। ओम कमण्डलुधराय नमः। ओम शुभ्रकौपीनवसनाय नमः। ओम गुहाय नमः। ओम दण्डपाणये नमः। ओम कृपापूर्णाय नमः। ओम भवलोकविषक्वराय नमः। ओम स्कन्दाय नमः। ओम देवतमाय नमः। ओम अमर्त्याय नमः। ओम सेनान्ये नमः। ओम पुरुषोत्तमाय नमः। ओम श्रीरमण भगवते नमः। श्रीरमणाष्टोत्तरशतनाम पूजां समर्पयामि। यस्थानूररुणाचलस्य पदयोः स्मृत्या जनिं प्राप्यत दिव्यानुग्रहसुप्रवाह विवशस्तादात्म्यभावं गतः ऋन्निष्ठस्वगभीरनित्यतपसा लोकान् पुनासेकर अस्मै श्रीरमणाय से नम इदं लोकोत्तरज्योतिषे। ॐ नमो भगवते श्रीरमणाय।
नमो रमण वैभव जी, नमो रमण प्रार्थना, नमो रमण वेंकटेश जी, नमो रमण रेवती माँ, नमो रमण to all.
Thank you.